Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined daily by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Be sure to tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get those questions in. Of course, as Rob said a second ago in the chat, we're 52 days away from kickoff. So be sure to tell us who your favorite number 52 is. A lot of offensive linemen to choose from today with that
Early
number.
Tanner is a good one.
Definitely, yeah.
That's
DJ
good.
Campbell, of course, being the current number
DJ
52.
Campbell.
So there's some good ones to go back. We'll revisit that. And also we have John Turntine Jr., the father of Texas commit John.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Yep, he's going to be joining us around 9 o'clock to talk about his son and his recent commitment to the Longhorns. So be sure to stick around for that. But first, guys, this morning, I want to talk about Phil Steele. He came out with some position rankings here. And the Longhorns very well represented. I guess pretty much all of them in the top 10 except offensive line. They have him ranked. They have Texas ranked number 4 in the preseason poll, the number 2 team in the SEC. Actually have Georgia number 1. And then the strength of schedule at 16. But quarterbacks, running backs, both 3rd in the country, receivers 5. Defensive line 9, linebackers 1, defensive back 6. Offensive line, though, is the one that sticks out a little bit because it's not in the top 10. Phil still has that group ranked 26. So I'm curious to get y'all's thoughts on that.
Phil still must have done his magazine at Lake Oconee this year if he has Georgia 1. I don't see who ranks number Georgia 1 to start the year unless you did it in the state of Georgia on a lake somewhere. They have, if they win it, this would be Kirby's best coaching job if he won the title this year because he lost more impactful guys on defense than I think he has at any time. But for Texas, I'll say this. I've been talking about how I thought this was the best group of linebackers Texas has had in my years doing this, Bobby. I'm still surprised people have Texas number 1 at linebacker, though. That surprised me that people have gone there. Because part of my thoughts on that are what Brad Spence transferring in, how's he going to factor in a young kid like Anthony Smith going into year 2, along with Hill and LaFau in year 3, and then what's going to happen with Trey Moore? Is he going to play some at linebacker as well as off the edge, which I think is what's going to happen, and a young kids like Elijah Barnes. So I think Texas just has great talent, SEC size, depth, and versatility, but I'm still surprised people have gone there and ranked them number 1 this early. I kind of applaud them.
I am a little surprised by the number 1 overall ranking because I can't remember when Texas has had the best linebacking unit in college football in a long, long time. So I think that's a fair remark. That being said, I think they're leaning heavily on Anthony Hill being a disruptor.
Yeah.
That's really what's happening there. He's one of the 2 or 3 that'll be on the field at a single time. I would say this for those folks second guessing Texas, look at his receiver ranking.
I agree with him.
None of you agree with him. I agree with him. Actually, I'll put that out there. But who else does? Because there's not a single receiver at Texas that will be on the first 2 teams of the SEC all-conference team. So it's more as a collective group, the receivers. And now maybe Jack Indries is second or third team or something like that at tight end. But my point being, people think that Texas is taking a step back maybe at receiver with Matthew Golden and Isaiah Bond gone. I mean, look, Golden really, really good. I'm not trying to downplay that. But I do think an older Ryan Wingo, an Emmett Mosley addition, another year of DeAndre Moore. I just think they're going to be extraordinarily reliable and good and have some jump to them. So I actually like that ranking more. We'll also have every year, by the way, on a Saturday conversation, I have Phil Steele on. I've already reached out, and he will be doing that sometime in the near future with us. So thanks to Phil, even though he may have done it at Lake Oconee.
Hey, by the way, this is one of the funniest comments ever on our channel. Tennessee Longhorn says, my favorite 52 is Felix Ojo. Sorry, I had to bring it up. That's one of the funniest comments. Tennessee Longhorn, that's one of the funniest comments ever on this channel, I got to tell you.
Yeah. Is there any other position here that kind of makes you go, huh? Like Do you really think Texas has the third best running back room in the country? I don't. By the way, I think Trey White is good, but until Cedric Baxter's proven, I don't have that feel, man. I just don't.
I think. Look, who's number one? I haven't seen them. I haven't seen.
Oh gosh, Jerry, I forgot my magazine, so I can't tell you.
It's okay, but I'm. It's probably Penn State and Notre Dame 1-2.
Yes,
would be my guess.
Yeah.
So the question is, what does Florida's depth look like behind Jaden Ball? Because Jaden Ball is really good, right? What does Ohio State look like with C.J. Donaldson and Bo Jackson and a couple of their younger guys? Yes, they have a Bo Jackson at Ohio State. But I guess with Texas, obviously you're thinking Cedric Baxter's when you do these preseason magazines. He's coming back. He's going to play at some point this year, whether it's game 1 or game 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. And you really like the young guys, the Jarrett Gibson who's going into year 2, a Christian Clark coming off injury. And then Phil still mixes in the rankings of the high school guys coming in, right? So from a depth perspective, if you said lined up 5 running backs, I could hear the argument that Texas is a top 5 position group there. Are they 3? I don't know. I think really we'd have to see who some of the depth is at a Florida. Does Nate Frazier make a big jump in year 2 at Georgia and become like a difference maker player? He's got that talent level now, and so it's really going to come down to the depth of the other positions, the other teams, I think.
Okay, what I would say is this. If I'm looking at this list from my vantage point of knowing Texas the way I do, I think running backs are overrated slightly. No offense to Trey Weiser and those guys, I don't know that that's the third best group in the country. For example, if A&M is healthy at running back, I think A&M has a better running back room than Texas with Le'Veon Moss and Reuben Owens, if they're healthy. Okay. So I think that running backs are a little overrated. If there is an underrated portion of this list by Steele, I think it's the defensive line because he doesn't distinguish, Jerry, between edge and tackle. He puts them all together.
Right.
And I think Texas has, if not the best edge room in the country, certainly one of the top 2 or 3. And I think the defensive line should be pretty stout inside with the additions through the portal. So I am, if I think there's one that's too high, I think it's running back. If I think there's one that's too low, I actually think defensive line. I have no problem with him putting the Texas offensive line where he does because it's a complete unknown. I have no problem with that. So that's a prove it to you. The offensive line is the unit that has to prove it to me, and everybody else this year, I think. So I think that's a fair ranking, actually.
I would take on defensive line. I'm with you. I think Texas will finish with a top 3 defensive line in college football this year.
Do you disagree with me? People are upset about me saying about Moss and Owens better than the Texas running back group. I mean, Le'Veon Moss.
It's hard for me to even go there since he's had 2 knee injuries now. Is he going to be the same player?
If he is, you would put them ahead.
I think Amari Daniels maybe.
Amari Daniels would be 3rd team at Texas, in my opinion. That's not Amari. It's Reuben Owens and Le'Veon Moss if they're healthy. Look, Le'Veon Moss was going at it last year like he would leave school early and go pro.
No doubt.
Yeah. If people disagree, that's fine, but I think those are 2 really, really good running backs if healthy. Just because the A&M offensive line and all that stuff has, look, here's what I don't buy. The A&M offensive line being the best in the country. That some people are putting it out as. Not based on what I saw last year where they couldn't run, they couldn't pass, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't get past midfield without a block punt. So, there are certain aspects that I disagree with on A&M. But their running back room, I like them.
All right, guys. Well, before we move on to our next segment, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about our sponsor today, Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm.
Yeah, if you get injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind and think you might be due compensation, call Adam and his group for a free consultation, no strings attached. Reach out to him at loweylawfirm.com. That's loweylawfirm.com. Adam, thank you for sponsoring On Texas Football. More than 20 years experience now across the state of Texas. Adam's a Texas Law School grad as well. Adam, thank you so much for your sponsorship of On Texas Football. Again, that's loweylawfirm.com. Man, I got the chat going today with that comment about A&M's running backs. Are you not allowed to like other teams' running backs? Because I do. I like their running backs, man.
Well, you also got social media going yesterday, Bobby, with a quote of yours. And I want to bring that quote up, let you talk about this for a moment. And you said Texas revenue is $333 million per year. Should they really have the same cap as a team that has $80 million in revenue per year? And of course, it went.
Because it was on Twitter. It wasn't just about Texas fans responding and having an intelligent conversation. It was actually, Texas Tech fans saying, "Oh, they're trying to get over." Here's the reality. It's the inferiority complex of other programs. I'll put it that way when I say that, Blake. If I have no problem with Texas having a similar rev share to teams that are in maybe the same Power 4 conferences. There's no way Texas should have the same rev share as Nevada, as Colorado State, as Sam Houston State, as UTSA. Look, I mean, it's not. Texas is a different level enterprise. So is Texas Tech. So is Texas A&M. They're different level enterprises than some of these schools that have this rev share and the same cap. It's not right. I mean, they don't need 130 teams having the same rev share.
I agree with that.
Makes no sense. They don't generate the revenue to have that rev share.
I agree. And what's going to be interesting, we got to get a very important guest here, but very important. We missed him last week. I almost cried live on the show. It was bad. But I agree. And what's gonna turn this on its head a little bit is what's going to change in some other college sports where they don't play football and have the same rev share. I think that's what's going to be interesting to look at down the line, because if you don't play football and you get the same rev share, your other sports go to a big advantage. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But, all right.
Hey, Rick Pitino at St. John's right now.
No football.
Yeah. So
Grand Canyon in basketball getting the same rev share and not playing football.
That's all I was getting at. I wasn't trying to discard other Power 4 teams. It has to shrink. That's all.
Well, to your point, your point, Bobby, the rev share needs to adjust depending on. Look, football's the biggest moneymaker in college sports. If you don't have football, I'm not sure you should have the same rev share. I think it's a valid argument. All right, it's Hump Day in Hermosa Beach, so it's got to be Hump Day with Hills. Hump Day in Hermosa. Tony, you missed it last week. For you, I had a double-decker oatmeal cream pie ate live on the show. I don't have it here. I don't think they allow those in California or something. I don't have one today.
Hey, man, listen. It's all about the cream pies, man. I have people in my corner that have perfected how to make it homemade.
Oh.
Yeah. Now I can get them whenever I want without all the science in it. So now there's really no excuse. We're here. Let's go, man. Back and better than ever. Feel juvenated and juvenated again. Coffee and football, OTF, Longhorn Nation. Therefore, I am rejuvenated. Let's go, baby. What we talking about today?
Go ahead, Jerry, if you had something.
The first thing we got to talk about is John Turntine's father's coming on the show at 9.
Nice.
So, obviously, you've kind of talked about Turntine. You've gone over the huddle video. We're going to play the huddle video once again. But we wanted you to give your thoughts again on the newest Longhorn offensive line commit, because I think he's a potentially great player in John Turntine.
Oh, listen, man, he's a generational talent. When you talk about size, strength, and speed with this particular individual. Now, now that we know that this is where he's coming, obviously he's going to have to put on some more size playing with the big boys. But he has the power, the strength, and the ability, to be an amazing offensive lineman at the University of Texas. It's interesting though. He's a little bit of a hybrid player, kind of like a Kelvin Beachum type. So can you put him? You can put him at guard. He'll be phenomenal. You can put him at tackle, and he has the athletic ability to stay with some of the best rushers. Does he have the strength and the power, right? And I think that's, to play at this particular level with the type of long range guys that he's going to see in the SEC. That's yet to be determined. But I'm excited about it, man. And listen, it's only right that he chose the best school in Texas. You know what I mean? And it just goes to show you, man, we don't have to pay, our whole rev share salary to get great players, man. We do a great job in recruiting and doing things that make sense.
Hey, Tony, what's interesting about him, and we're going to talk to his dad about this, is so I think he's been around 270 pounds, 268, 270, 272 on his official visits. I think he'll be 305, 310 one day. But he's a 600-pound squatter.
Yeah.
Right now as a junior in high school at that weight. What does that tell you about him?
Well, it's a Teron Smith type body type, right?
Yeah.
Meaning like very lean, but very powerful, very explosive. I know for a fact from seeing that those guys have success in the league. For him, it's just going to be about putting on the weight the right way, right? You don't want to get him too big, too fast and slow him down and take away from what his game is. His game is explosive power. Shout out to Mad Dog. Just watched the third Longhorn on that. But it's explosive power, it's flexibility, and it's the ability to have the foot speed and the athleticism to stay with some of the best pass rushers and get after it in the run game too. His short area quickness is immaculate. Very, very good. Being able to get up on secondary guys, those are some of the most shifty and agile guys. And I can promise you guys, when you climb up there as an offensive lineman, they're not trying to take you head on, right?
Yep.
In their mind, they're like, oh, you're not a threat because we're just going to run around you. Well, you can't do that with Turntine, right? Because he can keep up with you athletically. So this is a great pickup, and I'm excited to see. Most importantly, where my excitement lies, and shout out to my man, Coach Flood, I see you at the end of the month, is what he is going to do with this chess piece. I am ecstatic about that. I can't wait to see what he does with this.
I got a question for you, Tony. Jerry, you said John Turntine was 6'3",
6'3" and 5'8".
Okay, so right at 6'4" and 265, 270 pounds. Tony, what were you in high school?
As a tight end, my senior year?
Yep.
6'5" even, 271-ish, 2-ish pounds.
Yeah.
So what did you end your career at Texas at?
308, 6'6", 308.
Yeah,
that seems like it would be a good number for John Turntine to aspire to, right? I mean, that's really what people are saying. Oh, he's not big enough. He's not. 308 is big enough, is it not? I mean, even in this day and age.
Yeah, because the thing is that it's not as much about the weight as it's about how you carry it and the explosiveness that you have within the trenches. Like I said, I've seen guys. There's a guy by the name of Trey Turner that was about 6'3", 6'4", maybe 3'9", 309, 312-ish. Played a very long time, and the thing that made him, an animal in the trenches was his quickness, his speed. We've seen guys that have a more compact body size, but are extremely strong and explosive in the weight room, and they know how to translate that weight room power onto the field. It works very well. Leroy Glover wasn't a very big guy, right? But it worked for him. Orlean Kroontz wasn't a very big guy. It worked for him. Hell, I was a free agent player from West Virginia that I know many people don't know his name, but he actually started in the Super Bowl. Doug Legursky was a 5'10", squatty body center who was a power lifter. AQ Shipley. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You can win with these guys that are extremely compact but extremely small. They have built-in leverage.
That makes sense to me. And this is where I think people get caught up, and Jerry is beside himself on this stuff, by the way. Like he gets pissed off when some people say that John Turn's not big enough.
Yeah.
They're worried, all that stuff, because what Jerry goes out and sees, he sees a 17 18-year-old guy that knows he's going to add 30 pounds in college and be big enough. And so to your point, look, in the NFL, there are certain guys that are so big that it's really hard to move them, and they're able to play guard or nose tackle. But it's an athletic league.
Yes.
You can't be a minus athlete or even an average athlete and make it long-term in the NFL.
Yep.
Ultimately, it is a sport about athleticism and footwork and hand. I mean, I could go on and on, but I always Jerry is a big John Turntine fan and has been for a long time, Tony. And people have picked at him. Oh, well, Felix Ojo's better, or this guy's better, or that guy's better. At the end of the day, who's the best athlete at that position in this?
Not even close. Not even close.
And that's my point. Is so you have to build him up physically over time.
Yeah.
That's all. That's
well,
what
the other thing I it's more of an industry thing with us in rankings nowadays is they try to put guys in a box. So you can be 6'3" and 5/8 and be a really good tackle if you have 33 and 5-inch arms and 82-inch wingspan and 10-inch hands, and you're a hell of an athlete and you're intelligent, right? So, I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about here. Now, and I've said this about John Turntine. I think he's such a good player. He can play all 5 positions, and I wouldn't blink on it. But I also think he can be a hellacious offensive tackle in college football.
Yeah, no, I agree. And here's the thing we have to think about, too. A lot of times when you're looking at it, you made a great point. You're looking at a 17-year-old kid and projecting him all the way to the next level. There's a lot of gap in between there. Let's look at what's in front of us right now. What's in front of us right now? We know that he's a hell of an athlete. He's extremely strong, so he has a hell of a foundation to work with. He's going to a program with arguably, if not the best, one of the best offensive line coaches in the country when it comes to development of players. So understanding the game, simplifying the game. And look, I've talked to the guys. I've talked to the Bakers, the Goosebys, right? The Nikolai Brooks. I've talked to these individuals about Coach Flood and his philosophy and how he makes the game easy and understandable. So now he's getting the intangibles of the game taught to him as well, which also plays into the factor of becoming a great offensive lineman when you can understand intangibles and understand defenses and concepts. So that's that. But then there's another weapon that Texas have by the name of Torrey Becton, right? Like this guy has already proven what he builds in that program. So I'm not worried about his height and his weight at 17 years old, right? If he comes in and you redshirt him, great. You give him a whole year to be able to get acclimated to college, get acclimated to what the scheme is, get acclimated to what training is. This is a foundation. This is a solid foundational player, which is the reason why Texas recruited him. And my thing is, when you talk about the people that are talking about John Turntine, I can promise you they're not wearing burnt orange and white. So I'm not really worried about the opinions of other people, especially when we have the track record of the past few years of what we do with offensive linemen at the University of Texas, right?
Yeah.
So that's my thought process.
Look, I kind of think of John Turntine like Byron Murphy. Byron Murphy was 6 foot, 275 coming out of high school.
Yep.
And there was, and now the difference was Turntine's a national recruit, but there were a lot of programs that wondered if Byron Murphy could get big enough. Yeah. And I've said on this show before, I'm not sure Texas would sign Byron Murphy today if he came out of the Soda, and people have to be careful with this in college football as you get more talented because the guy's a great player. But that motor, that athleticism, that natural strength and power, and then a Torrey Becton adds to a guy who's born with natural strength and power and athleticism are where guys really ascend in my estimation.
Absolutely. And those are what I'm talking about when I talk about there's other things around him. Like I believe that John and his father sat down and said, listen, you play offensive line. The most important thing is going to be your development. I'm not saying that other schools are not developing linemen. What I am saying is Texas is very, very, very good at it, and they've been doing it here consistently. So when we talk about what this kid is, when you put him in a system of offensive lineman development with a foundation that is as strong as his, with the athleticism that is as strong as his, here's another part of his game that we're not talking about. His mental aspect is he's extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
So like when you take all of that and you mold that, this is the things, and I've talked about this before when it comes to the NFL, when you talk about the scouts and the front office guys and things of that nature, there's some things that are intangible in athletes that you cannot measure. This is the reason why you'll have a Darian Sproles in the league. This is the reason why you'll have a 6-foot quarterback like Drew Brees. This is the reason why you'll have a 5'9" linebacker like London Fletcher. This is the reason you have these guys. It's because there are certain things intrinsically inside them, which is a superpower that everybody else in this extremely athletic, size, measurable height jump league doesn't have. There's a reason why the story of David and Goliath is in the Bible. Most people look at the physical stature, the Lord look at the heart. So when you're looking at it from a football standpoint, if I see a talent like this, I have to ignore sometimes what the physical height, weight, stature is and say, I'm going to take this chance because there's something about this particular guy that can potentially not only increase what I have going on in my room, but he could also potentially become a leader that even elevates the program even more, right? Because I can only imagine if this athletic young man is in the offensive line room and they're going to summer workouts and he's pushing the bar, I can only imagine that the other people that's looking at this young fella is like, hell no, not me. I'm finna go get him, right? Now we have a competitive edge. We call that the rabbit when we used to run them 110s. But now we have a competitive edge within our locker room. So automatically he potentially makes the offensive line better. I'm excited about it, and I can't wait to see what he does.
Tony, we're going to switch gears for a minute. We got a viewer question for you.
Here come the little Debbie's questions.
Oh, come on, let's get it.
Zane Petty says, Tony.
Me that, Blake, before you ask me that question,
yeah,
Blake,
what you got?
Your voice, man. We got to always listen. OTF, one of the things that makes this show, and y'all know it like I know it, is the smooth DJ sound of Mr. Blake Monroe. I appreciate you for being on here, brother, and doing what you do, man. Go ahead. What you got for me?
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Tony. So Zane Petty says, Tony, I'm concerned about the offensive line this year. Talk me off the ledge.
Well, I would need to understand what the concern is about. I've said this before, and I'll go on record saying it again. At the tackle position at Texas, we are more athletic now than we were last year. When it comes to being able to understand how to play under pressure, these guys are being put in situations, I've seen it in camp, pressurized situations. Now, being able to take that and translate that on the field, we'll see. But at the end of the day, when it comes to what you're going to get and the mentality that they're building at Texas and how these guys approach the game and approach the work, I'm not worried about this offensive line at all. I'm not worried about it from the standpoint that they've seen greatness. A lot of these guys have participated in greatness, right? Just they might not have the starts, but they have the playing experience, right? And so you can leverage that experience in this moment. And there's a tremendous amount of growth that is out there in front of them as well. So I don't know. I would have to know what your concern is, right, to be able to talk you off of that proverbial ledge. But I'm not concerned about them at all. I know these guys are going to go out there and compete, and they're going to fight their butt off. And at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for from your offensive line. Game in and game out, we're going to give it everything that we got. And I know those guys are going to do that because they've already been doing that, and they're doing that now.
Let me ask you this. Are you concerned about communication? You say you're not concerned about athletically.
Yeah.
What is it that you could be concerned about? Is it communication? Is it gelling as a unit?
I think that
reacting to difficult situations at tough times.
Yeah, no, listen, I don't, this is what I'm saying, but I don't think that when they get to pressurized situations, they're going to crack because their leaders don't crack, right? And if you're a soldier, you're going to follow the thought process and you're going to follow the example of your leader. So you gotta think. A lot of these guys have been in the program for a while. They've seen these things. They've been in some situations. What is more pressurized? Okay, I'll give you an example. If I'm a starter at University of Texas and I'm getting ready to play a high-profile impact game, I've had the whole week to prepare. I understand what they're trying to do. I understand the communication. I understand what our X's and O's plays are to be able to dissect the defense and get the wins, right? If I'm a backup, I have to understand that, and then I don't know when my opportunity is coming. You have a guy that was literally sitting on the sideline eating potato chips, and all of a sudden the guy goes down and he has to get in the field in a pressurized situation, and we didn't hear from the guy that was a #1 draft pick in the NFL. So I'm looking at that and saying that doesn't just happen. Yes, there's a talent there, but there's also a preparation factor there. And so for me, it's not so as much as I'm leaning on the individuals in the room and saying that there's going to be certain things to where they don't get frustrated or they might miscommunicate. That's going to happen. That happens with even the greatest lines. What my flag is staked in is in the leadership within the locker room of not only a Trevor Gooseby, but also a Coach Flood, and also of a Torrey Becton, of gelling these guys together. When it comes to the X's and O's, Coach Flood is masterful of being able to break down defensive concepts and making things simplified for these guys to understand how do we attack them. And they have a grasp on the offense. That's another thing. These are not guys that are just coming into the program and don't know what's going on. These are guys that have a grasp on what Sark wants to do, and the weapons that we have, how do we get them open? How do we get the backs? And that's another thing too. It's not just on the offensive line. We got better in the running back room because we got our guys back. If we can step back a little bit, look at what we did with the guys that weren't even looked at to be starters on the team. There were guys penciled in that we said, these are our guys. Boom, he's down. Boom, he's down. Now what do? We're scrambling, and then somebody steps up. I'm telling you guys, that doesn't just happen. This is preparation.
Tony, I want to ask you this. If we see a little change in run scheme this year, a little more gap and power schemes on the interior run game, right?
Yeah.
Run game. How do you think this group of guys, is that due to Arch and what he does and that vertical ability, the way Sark's going to attack? Is it due to the guard center guard at Texas maybe being more guys that move people better? And how do you think that could potentially go? What do you see there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility that we get into a lot of that because of the type of bodies that we have. We have more explosive bodies interiorly up front, right? And more specifically, when we're talking about the left guard, like we knew what Hayden was, right? Very good player, but we knew what he was. When you implement now NATO, you have him and DJ, right? These guys move guys off of the ball, right? Now, what you're going to need from them is consistency. I need you to be this game in and game out, right? But what I'm saying to you is that only happens over time. For DJ, I just need more consistency, period and point blank, brother. Like you've been here long enough. You're one of the leaders on the team. Lead the way that you need to know, that you need to lead, and everybody else will follow, right? But we have the mental makeup and we have the bodies to be able to beat people up front. And then again, we also now, praying for all of these guys stay healthy, but we also now have the backs, like the running backs by committee, that offer different looks to defenses. And then when you throw in the deep ball from Arch, and then also the legs of him to be able to pick up first downs, this offense looks totally different. There's literally nothing that Sark can't call on his play sheet that these guys can't execute. There's no limitations. You would have to show me where the limitations are from an athletic standpoint with Texas offensively. I don't see any. The only thing that could be a potential hindrance is just understanding what, like, the experience of the game. That's it. But that continues to compound over time. And what you really want to see is you want to see a progression offensively of this continuing to rise as you get towards the back half of the season.
I want to say one thing. When you talk about the importance of communication, and that was one of the things I asked you about, I go back to 4th and 13 against Arizona State.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a perfect example. That's a pressure-packed situation where communication was great. They picked it up and they made the play.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned, look, I agree with everything that Tony said, basically. It is a scenario right now where Texas has the pieces. They just have to put them into, you have to put them into position, and they have to gel.
Yes.
And that's why when we were talking about this morning, Tony, Phil Steele, if y'all are, I know you probably didn't get the first end of this conversation this morning. Phil Steele came out with his top ranked units around the country, Tony. He ranked the Texas offensive line 26th in the country. On the surface, that is low, right? I mean, I think we all agree that's like abnormally low for the University of Texas based on the amount of talent. At the same time, they're a prove-it-to-me unit.
Yes.
Right? And so I don't have this major issue with them being ranked where they are because we don't know what they're going to look like. We have some data that says they're going to be better than that based on previous performance of Kyle Flood and even Steve Sarkisian to that level. But this is I kind of think they can use this as motivation as well.
Oh, listen, absolutely. This is no different than when you look at what we were able to accomplish. Now the position is different, right? Because you go from Vince Young to Colt McCoy as a redshirt freshman. But, we pretty much, there was people that had us dead in the water. Now, did we get to where we wanted to get? No, we didn't. But we won 10 games that season with a redshirt freshman quarterback, right? So what I'm saying is the unknown is really on the outside. I actually like the fact that all of this doubt is happening for this unit. I like it because I'm talking to those guys in that room, and guys, I'm telling you, they thrive on this. They thrive on this. You're not when I can talk to people intimately, and they're not online and blasting out, y'all going? No, they just locked in, quiet, and working. That's a scary thing, because what's happening is you're challenging a bunch of warriors about how great they can be. I love that. I love them being doubted, and I hope that they're doubted the entire season. I would almost want for multiple reports to come out and say, I don't think Texas offensive line is going to be that good. I will pay people to write bad things about Texas offensive line.
Nice. I like it. Let's do that.
I will pay. If you're an editor or somebody out there that has a magazine or a blog or you got about 50 followers. 50 followers is good. I can rock with 50. If you put 50 people in the room, you'd be happy about that. Go to TonyHills.com. Schedule an appointment. Let's talk about what I need to pay you to write bad about this line. Because what's going to happen is towards the end of it, they're going to be singing their praises. And I'm telling you guys this now in July. I'm telling you, these guys are ready. Barring injury, right? Barring injury, but with what they're building and the cornerstone of what they're building, I'm not worried about these guys at all. At all. Communication, all of that. It's going to get greater. Period. They have to see things. And once they see it, they'll adjust and they'll attack it. And again, it's not just the athleticism of the guys and all of that. I'm really staking my flag with the general and the chief and the commander that's in that room, that being Coach Flood.
All right, Tony, great as usual.
No energy at all. None. I mean, he never has any energy.
Hey, Tony.
I don't know if you wake up that way.
Man, I got kids, Bobby. Bobby, I got kids, man.
I got kids.
Listen, I got kids. Listen, one of my little 2-year-old was just banging on the door right now. I was just hopeful y'all didn't hear him. So I gotta, they don't care nothing about daddy being tired. So if they don't care about daddy being tired, daddy don't care about me being tired. We turned up right now. And I got a coffee machine in my office. I got an office in my house, Bobby, with a coffee machine. Why would I not be turned up?
Tony, put the oatmeal cream pies high up in the pantry, though, else they'll all be gone now with the kids.
I have a bowl. It's empty right now, but I have a bowl where I'm going to stick my homemade cream pies in the bowl behind the coffee maker, so they can't reach it. It's not the high that they got, the issue with. They find something to climb on. It's the angle. they arms are short, so they can't reach it like they need to. So that's what I'm doing.
It starts with oatmeal cream pies, and then you're hiding your bank account later as they get older.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tony. We appreciate you, buddy. You have a good week. Hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em, baby.
Take care of yourself. Good stuff. I love Tony Hills.
He's awesome. Yeah. He's awesome. You know what else is awesome, Blake?
What's that? Probably Goodr would be my guess.
Stylish sunnies, starting only $25 a pair, 1-year warranty, 30-day free returns. You don't need any of that. They're lightweight and comfortable. They're 100% polarized. No slip, no bounce. From vibrant colors to sleek styles, those Longhorn Goodrs we're showing a picture of are top notch. There's a pair of Goodrs for every personality out there, designed for both everyday wear and active individuals that love to run, hike, bike, and much, much more. That leads you to, where do you wear your Goodrs? Well, on a run, playing pickleball, playing tennis, on a hike, going to the beach, cycling, whatever. Watching Texas Longhorns football, driving in the hot Texas sun in a car. I might even throw mine on in Vaughn Lane just to have multiple ad reads at the same time, because they're so affordable. You don't have to worry about losing or breaking them. You can have a pair for every occasion. If you need a new pair of sunnies, Goodr is giving On Texas football listeners free shipping. You go to goodr.com/OnTexas, all caps, and use that code OnTexas for free shipping. I have to read it. They offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, and I'll add in a 1,000% satisfaction.
Good stuff, Jerry. Thank you. And a great transition, I might add.
Ooh. I'm getting better. Getting more experience, like the Texas offensive line.
Well, we're waiting on, of course, John Turntine Jr., father of John Turntine III, to join us. But while we wait, guys, I want to get to a couple of super chats real quick. And we're going to start with this one that came in earlier from Longhorn Frenzy 1. Thank you for your super chat. What color is it in the world of Brett Yormark? Some of his opening comments yesterday were ridiculous. The guy is a carnival barker, not a Big 12 commissioner. Thankful that Texas is in the SEC. Bobby?
You just go to me. You don't even let Jerry. I believe we will be the deepest league in college football. And I wrote back, when pigs fly.
Yeah.
Because look, I mean, even if I don't think they're the deepest league. They may be the league without the excellence, or I don't know how you want to put that. Well, if they're all similar, that doesn't make it deep. It just makes it similar. Are you deep with excellence? Or are you just, deep with, I don't want to say mediocrity, but with average? And I think they're deep with average. So is that really deep? Not my. In no way, shape, or form do you think the Big 12 is going to be the deepest team in college football. I mean, he may be the only one absurd enough to make that statement. I don't think the coaches that were at the Big 12 Media Day yesterday don't believe that.
No.
I mean, that's my point. It's kind of ridiculous.
All right, so we are going to talent that runs deep in a family now. John Turntine Jr., father of John Turntine. All right, for those now this is talent that runs deep in a family. John, we haven't had you on the show before. Thank you for joining us. 2-time All Mountain West Conference defensive lineman at TCU. Now has a son that's one of the top offensive line prospects in America, committed to Texas. A young son that has a pretty good golf swing now. Thanks for joining the show.
Hey, thank you. Good morning, guys. Thank y'all for having me today. Good morning.
Morning. Hey, first of all, congratulations to your son. I know that's got to be as a father myself, I know that's got to be a wonderful experience for you and yours. You already have a couple kiddos at college, I believe, as well. Tell us a little bit about the process, though, and how John whittled it down and you guys whittled it down to eventually picking Texas.
I mean, the process was a long one. It was like 2.5 years, but at the core of it, it was just mostly just being sound, leaning on our faith, and also just making sure that every visit and every interaction that he had questions that he could take back and write them down. So when it came to the final piece of it, which was the OV, he could get those questions answered. And, so the process, like I said, it was a great process. Every school that he came in to interact with, had a lot of good offers. But it was just mostly, like I said, being grounded and making sound decisions and not reacting to the things like worrying about the money. You know, it's football. You know, it's education. And him being a junior, just making sure he can live into now world and not next week or next year world. And so that's really just staying grounded and sound in our decision, and and believing in our faith.
I got to ask you, I want your reaction to this. The first time I met your son, he was right before I guess his early sophomore year of high school. And he told me he wanted to be a neurosurgeon. And I remember texting our group and said, I think he's the first kid that ever told me that. When did that even surprise you that was his thinking at that age? Now, I think he's kind of backed off that a little now. I may be wrong, but did that even surprise you that was his thinking when he was 15 years old?
No, I mean, he have always been high on academics. I can remember back when he was in fifth grade, he built a soda panel charger, and he made it out of regional in the science fair. And he built it piece by piece by looking at writing down measurements. And he have always been like that when it come to academic, man. He have a high ceiling, and that's the things. That's what makes him different is that he believes in where he want to be in his goals in life, and he attacks them.
He get that from you or from mama?
I think he get it from a little bit of both, just because of our experience in life.
That's good. Hey,
Yeah.
John, we were talking earlier about your son and where you've been around college football before.
Yes, sir.
And you know what it takes to succeed, et cetera. Looking 2-3 years in the future, how big do you see John being? Is he going to be 6'3", 6'4", and 300 pounds? Where do you see him? Because you've been, I mean, unlike a lot of dads that haven't seen this progression, that haven't been in a college or pro weight room, you have been.
Yes, sir.
Where do you see John ending up in that regard?
I see him in the next 2 to 3 years. I see him being about 6'4.5" and being around about 315.
Okay.
Yeah, he got that nice frame. Like last night we weighed him and he's around about 272 now. And so this is nothing new. When I went to college, I was 190. I paid for my first summer classes, so I was able to work out with the team. I got up to 225. So we know a little bit something about making sure he do what he needs to do.
So talk about then one, who would win, you in your heyday or him? Who would win the rep? First of all, who would win the rep? And second, talk about what makes him the player he is. Is it that? 600-pound squatter at 272 pounds is a big number. That's abnormal for a kid that weighs that. So kind of talk about what makes him him.
I mean, I just think, just the way he process things, just the way he go about his daily activities. He's always looking just to put in the work, because that's the only thing that he knows that he controls. Everything else is outside variables, and he don't control them. So for him, it's just his process is like, hey, let me put this work in, and do it the right way. We don't want to, he got a nice, good frame. So we want to keep building that frame so that way he can be successful when he get to you guys after completing another run for state title. And so at the end, so for me, it's just, like I say, just him knowing, hey, I got to eat. Him knowing, hey, I got a snack at this time. I got to drink my protein shake. I got to have my gallon of water around. I got to do my 100 push-ups in the morning, 100. And so John is really, like I say, I like the fact that he like to do the work when no one's around him. Last night when he ran 25 hills, that's just him. He don't like to be in the light. He just like to work in the dark, and the actions will take care of himself. He's an action guy.
Ooh, I think Steve Sarkisian and Kyle Flood like that answer. I'll put it that way. I liked it as a guy that follows Texas football. John, you mentioned North Crowley going for another state championship. Tell us a little bit about this year's team, if you don't mind.
I mean, this year's team got a lot of talent, and it started at the top with our head coach, Coach Ray Gates, and his coaching staff. And, just having that experience around our guys. But it's going to look different, but it's definitely going to be explosive. And right now, they just building, and that's one thing right now. Each day, as they get towards August, things will start to look better and better. But right now they building, and John said yesterday he really liked where his O-line and his mates are at. And so that's all you can do. You know, it's gonna look different, but once again, it's still gonna be explosive. It's still gonna be Texas football.
Hey, so John, I wanted to ask you this. So obviously you played it, but you also went through this process with your son.
Yes, sir.
What impressed you about first Steve Sarkisian in the Texas program right now, and two Kyle Flood, to where you said they checked the boxes for you when your son told you he was going to go there?
I just think, like, once again, we got to start with them as men, not coaches, because coaches is a title. So they just great men, just being able to see the authentic, you know, and the genuine of Coach Flood and Coach Sarge, you know, just being able to just sit there and talk to them as men, see them as leaders of their family, and also just know the history of those guys and what they didn't came from and why what they wow it was. And so you know, I just think my son, after all the decision, he made a great decision that's going to put him in position to be successful. Like I say, we're winners, and we just can't forget that. And no matter what you do, we just want to be able to win in life, academically. And Coach Sharp and Coach Flood, they brings that, and that's one thing for me.
Good stuff. John, we appreciate you joining us, bud. Jerry, you have any final comments?
No. We have a very important question now from the chat. Casey says, could you give us insights on the goats you saw in College Station? I think you got.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I wasn't really focused on the GOAT. I was focusing on my son and my family. So I think I walked by them a couple of times. I definitely smelled them. So, you know, they were definitely in the house. So.
All right, John, thank you so much, bud. You have a good one, and good luck to your son and to North Crowley this year. Yes, I love the fact that you're actually focused on that first before getting to Texas. That from someone that means that you've got stuff going in. You got your right priorities, I guess, if that makes sense.
Sir. Yes, sir. You definitely.
Yeah, it feels that way. Yeah, take care of yourself, man. Hook 'em horns.
Thanks, John.
Thank y'all. Hook 'em.
All right, take care. That was great. Good. Thank you, Jerry, for setting that up.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's clearly been through the college football wars before and understands where his son needs to go and how he needs to get there, what's important and what's not important. I like the fact that, you know, John Turntine's doing 100 push-ups every morning and every night and running 25 hills
in the Texas heat on his own.
Yeah, on his own.
That's Jordan Whittington, DeAndre Moore. Those are things that can lead you down the path of being a leader of a team at Texas, because you're already a leader of a state champion at North Crowley. Who here's the thing I want to say about those kids at North Crowley and John Turntine being one of the leaders, because of John and other kids, I've been over there a lot. Duncanville beat them up really good in the state semifinals his sophomore year. And they had to come back and avenge that loss to get to a state championship game. And they did it, right? You don't do that. Yes, they're talented. Duncanville was also really talented. But you don't do that without one, Ray Gates, we've had on the show's tremendous young head coach in high school football. He'll be on the college level one day if he wants to be. But with also not having resolve and really good leadership, right? Because that impressed me. And I think those things, when you're one of the leaders of a program like that, carry over. And all those things that you just heard from Mr. Turntine, it won't surprise me if one day if John doesn't wear a C on his jersey and be one of those guys. He just comes from that type of program. He has that type of head coach. They had to get over that hump, which is a really big hump. And now he has to be the leader of a team that's a little younger and try to get them back. That's a really good place to be for a young, talented football player or athlete anywhere. So I love it.
Sounds like he has that kind of parent too.
Yeah.
Just want to put that out there.
Well, let's jump into some more super chats this morning, fellas. AS85, thank you for your super chat. Says, I'm slightly behind, but with regards to the running back conversation, you can't say Moss if healthy and not say the same for Baxter.
Slightly different injuries. And what I mean by that is, while I agree with you to a level, Cedric Baxter tore the MCL, the ACL, and the PCL, and I think the LCL. So it's slightly different, and the prognosis to return to prior is not as high as what it was for Le'Veon Moss. So that's my reasoning. Like, there's a potential that in any injury, there's a potential that a player loses explosiveness. Okay, that's just the reality of it. And then, but what's been proven now with ACL tears is that you can come back from them as explosive, or even build it up to be more explosive. Okay, PCL, from talking to some folks, is a different story, and that's a different ligament that, if torn, can cause some long-term lack of explosiveness. We'll see. That's why I'm more tentative on Cedric Baxter than maybe most people are. And I hope I'm freaking wrong. I mean, I want everybody to know that. It's not like I'm rooting against him. No. But I think that we have to have the proper amount of understanding and reticence, and not look at it with orange-colored glasses necessarily.
And then going back to Turntine for just a moment here, Slick Rick says Turntine's the best fit in Sark's outside zone scheme. We need an athletic offensive tackle to get outside the perimeter. Sark knows what he's doing.
Outside zone, screen game, anything in space. He is extremely high level prospect in that regard. Extremely high level.
And then a couple of super chat comments this morning. Splendid Daddy says Sark needs to bring in Tony Heels to pump the team up, ready to run through a wall over here.
I think that, look, by the way, I guess I'll take this time to mention this. Tony will be joining us each and every week, each and every Wednesday on Hump Day with Hills. We have some other folks that are going to be joining us on a regular basis this coming football season, former players and other dignitaries around Texas football. We will make official announcements later this, probably after the month of July, like early August. We'll start having them on a weekly basis every morning for you guys. But that's something that we're trying to do here, is continue to bring you guys more and more folks like Tony, like John Turntine Jr., to get this thing even better for everybody.
And then the super chat from Aaron Neal, and Aaron added a note to the end of this. So Aaron Neal, thank you for your super chat, says, why doesn't Texas play the bag game in recruiting? But he went on to say, Blake, ask them to explain it to me like I'm 5 years old, please. Okay.
Do you want to end up in jail? that's I would explain that to my 5-year-old thusly. If you don't want to go to jail, don't do things that get you put in jail. That's why you don't do the bag game, because ultimately, look, the image and reputation of the University of Texas is very precious. I'm not saying it's unmarred or never had issues, etc. Okay, but every time that something happens, it's a negative against your background or your resume. And I just don't think Texas is willing to do that. They haven't shown the proclivity historically to do it because they don't want it. They don't want that to happen. The reality of it is that right now Texas has a rev share cap that they're dealing with. They have money set aside for certain things and certain players, not just for the recruiting class, but also for guys they want to come back in 2026. You have to remember, recruiting, the actual count will go against the 2026 class, not against 2025. And so that's where this is at right now, guys. And I think that that's going to be normal. I will say this, based on my conversations again yesterday, I feel really good about where Texas is at in recruiting. I know other people are going to say, what are you talking about, Bobby? That Texas is at 17 commitments. They've gotten one of the best quarterbacks in the country, if not the best. They got their top offensive, at least one of the top two offensive tackle prospects, if not the best on their board. They have a good defensive line class. They've got situation at corner with Jermaine Bishop / wide receiver. There are pieces to the puzzle here that they like a lot. Is it over for them? No, they still have to add it piece by piece. But I am not. I mean, people need to back away from the ledge here because Texas didn't get everybody they were going after, or they didn't get a percentage of guys they're going after. I think Texas recruiting is going to be, for those people that are worried about it, I understand because it's natural to be worried about stuff. But I will tell you this, I have full faith and confidence that Texas will have an elite class with elite players in it, regardless of NIL, regardless of this new world order. Texas is not, just stay around. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I think Texas will be fine at the end of the day. I think when we look up in December, they'll be in the neighborhood again of where they have been of a top 5 class. It'll surprise me if it's not the case.
All right, Bobby, before we move on, I'm going to let you tell everyone this morning about Vaughn Lane.
Yeah, get on the bus. That's Vaughn Lane. There used to be 2 ways to travel between Houston, Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, Fort Worth. You could drive your car or you could get on a quick Southwest Airlines plane and go there. Now, it's not so quick anymore to get on a plane, and driving can take you, 5, 6, 8 hours out of your day. Instead, get on Vaughn Lane and they will take you in first-class style. You actually arrive at a hotel terminal, essentially, that is a bus stop. That's where you park your car. You get on the bus. You come back the same day. You're rested. You see the Wi-Fi service available to you right there. Powered, reclined seats. You get served food, drink, etc., snacks, all while you're relaxed and not tuckered out. VaughnLane.com, a tremendous opportunity and way to travel between major cities in Texas. VaughnLane.com. Use promo code OTF25 for $20 off your first ride. And I will say this: they are now taking reservations for the month of September, where Texas hosts 3 games: the 6th, the 13th, and the 20th. So make sure you get your reservations in for VaughnLane.com.
Thank you, Bobby. And more super chats this morning. This one from Turd Ferguson. Thank you for your super chat. Says, good morning, OTF. What's more likely, Simmons 15 sacks or Arch 35 passing touchdowns?
Oh, that's
Also,
Arch 35.
Good luck to Tortilla Tech paying 300% over sticker on 5-star players.
Yeah, it's Arch 35 TDs. I mean, if you just look at college football, how many guys have actually had 15 sacks in a season of late versus 35 touchdown passes? That one's easy, 35 TDs. Just play the odds on that one. And I actually think on Colin Simmons, to go a little step further, I could see him, if he goes 15 more, that's just unbelievable to me, because I think he's going to have a lot of attention, a lot of chips, and a lot of doubles this year. He's going to free up everybody else to get matchups that they like around him. I think that's something to take into account with Colin Simmons too. His greatness, I think, which he could become a great player, is not just going to be felt in stats this year. It's going to be felt in what he does for others because of how he is a game planned against.
I think that a lot of teams, Jerry, because of Texas's pass rush, is going to try to play keep away from Texas this year. They're going to see if they can't get it into 3rd and 3 a lot more often. So that may diminish Simmons' sack number 2. But yeah, we'll see if the run defense holds up and puts teams into 3rd and long. I might be willing to go with Simmons on those 15 sacks. Yeah, I know the numbers say I shouldn't, but I'm just letting you know.
There was two Power 4 guys that got the 16 and a half last year. Mike Green out of Marshall, not Power 4, led college football. The year before, 2023, no Power 5 guy got the 15 sacks. The closest was 13, Latau Latu at UCLA, who was a first-round pick. The year previous, obviously 2022, nobody got the 15. Obviously, you're more games being played now. 2021, Will Anderson, 17.5, Aiden Hutchinson, 14. So even Will Anderson was the only guy at 15. Now, they play more games now if you go deep into the playoffs. But those two guys last year, BC and Virginia Tech, obviously didn't play more games.
And then our next super chat this morning is from Spence GPT2. He says, thank you for everything that y'all do. Well, thank you, Spence, and everybody else for tuning in each and every morning and all day. And then Slick Rick says, we've been getting beat up in recruiting, but I'm not worried one bit. Deep sea recruiting starts when the season starts. Sark proves it on the field.
I think that there's still meat left on the bone this summer. There are guys out there right now that Texas is recruiting hard. So I will just say this much. I feel pretty strongly that Texas is going to probably do – they're still doing work this summer. Let's see where that ends up. But I'm not like just saying, oh, well, let's wait until they try to flip all these guys. There's still work out there right now.
And then a comment from Juan Garza. Juan says, Bobby, you should do a show on RevShare and live stream it to ask so people can ask questions.
We try to do that. Y'all can ask any questions you want as it relates to live RevShare. It is just so nuanced. And I want everybody – last night, Jerry, you and I talked about this separately offline. I linked an article that I think everyone should read about what is going on in RevShare. Ross Dellinger from Yahoo Sports wrote the article. Ross has been on our show a couple times before. He is the national college football writer for Yahoo, and he really focuses a lot on the business of college sports and is tremendous at it. If you go to our site right now, you can read this article. It is it lays it out pretty bare. Schools right now, only 30% of NIL deals have been approved by NIL Go at this point. That means 70% are hung up in whether or not they're even going to get approved. And so my point to you guys is that people are already having problems with processing this stuff and what it means and what it doesn't mean. There are some, Ross says that there are some people out there giving high school recruits money to stay committed through their collectives. That is patently illegal, but they're all basically challenging it before it even becomes a thing. That's just blatantly illegal and could cause those players and or schools to be deemed ineligible. And so I feel like people need to understand RevShare is a very complex thing that it has no one answer to it. There are just mutations of it all over the place. The bottom line is this: Texas is aware of all of those mutations. And from talking in that direction, I still have a lot of confidence in Texas to fight through anything and everything and still come out with a top 5 class. And I think that people will be ultimately surprised. That's my opinion. And I think some other people, let's jump off the bridge right now. I am confident. I don't know how else to put that with you guys, but just wait and see what happens.
I'm going to hit on a couple of recruiting things real quick. We've had some questions. Change my camera angle as the sun's moving all around. Moving up. Somebody's asking about Tyler Atkinson. I don't have anything new there. Look, that's ongoing. Georgia's been considered the favorite.
Hey, Jerry, somebody said that Texas was out of Tyler Atkinson yesterday or moving it. I haven't heard that at all. I
just think it's ongoing, but I think Georgia's been the favorite there, and Texas or Oregon would have to come from behind. We said that with Braden Rouse yesterday. Burn Orange Horn asked, could Braden Rouse be a December flip later in the season? Potentially, Texas will stay on Braden Rouse. I was told by a source, and you guys know this, I said it yesterday morning before he announced that they thought that would be a December decision type of thing. Like he would commit to either Texas or Tennessee now, but that recruitment would continue to play out. I tend to believe that's true, how everything went down decision wise, just picking the date, not really having a decision until the morning of or afternoon of. So I think that one could play out a while. I think Samari Matthews would still hear good things there on Samari Matthews heading into his July 11th announcement. And we'll see what happens with Caden Prothro, Hezzy Kent on the 12th, and Calvin Thomas, the linebacker from Cy Ridge, on the 12th. Nebraska's the favorite. Texas is still talking with him as well. I wanted to update. We had a commitment real quick. We had a commitment yesterday during the show, Declan DeRue in basketball. I wanted to hit on this real quick. Blake, do you have the roster? So I just wanted to let people know I don't expect Texas. This is on Texas basketball on Instagram if you don't follow it. I don't expect Texas to add anybody else now. I think you have 15 scholarships. Very few teams are using that many scholarships now, or we'll use all of them. I think Texas will have a couple of walk-on guys that they'll scholarship this year, but I think this is pretty much your completed roster, barring something really changing. You see Declan DeRue there. He doesn't get here. He doesn't get to Austin until August. Same with Luis Obiora. Those two guys will get in August, the last two additions to this team. But we have great threads on Texas football about the UT basketball team right now, if y'all want to get over there and talk hoops as well. But I wanted to let everybody know that I do think the roster has been completed for this year with the addition of Declan DeRue. He gets in August. So it'll be the thing for him will be how quickly can he make up ground with Nick Cody and John Clark being months ahead of him, being at Texas, working in Sean Miller's system, working with the strength and conditioning program. That'll be what DeRue's up against year one. I think he's got a really high ceiling as a basketball player.
All right, we got time for just one or two more questions. But first, Bobby, tell everyone about our sponsor today, Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam and the Lowy Law Firm have been sponsors of On Texas Football's Coffee and Football Wednesday episode now for more than a year. We appreciate you very much. Adam, if you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, from ATV to 18-wheeler, make sure you reach out to Adam and his firm, loweylawfirm.com. They'll give you a free, no strings attached consultation to see if you're due any compensation. That is Adam Lowy over at the loweylawfirm.com. Thanks, Adam. Look forward to seeing you at some football games this year. Adam Lowy, Lowy Law Firm.
All right, guys, and let's see here. Let's take this question from Aaron. Aaron Neal says, who is a surprise player y'all think shows up big for us this year?
I mentioned Jack Indries yesterday as one that I know that's not a surprise because he's kind of penciled in as a starter, but based on what I'm hearing, that will be one. I think that Christian Clark could be one based on just early returns that I'm hearing, both out of spring ball and summer. Another one, Wardell Mack could be one that maybe people aren't thinking about enough, especially if Jalen Gilbo sticks at corner.
My guy is, I think Jelani McDonald is going to elevate himself to where he has a decision to make after the season, whether he's going pro or not. And if he does that, then that's a really good sign for Texas. That's one for me.
That's fair. I agree with you about him. If he has to make a decision, good for Jelani McDonald.
Yeah.
And good for the University of Texas.
Yeah.
And then our
Kobe Black would not be surprising, by the way. Kobe Black would not be surprising.
And then our last question of the day, fellas, is going to come from Salty Q. Will a more athletic offensive line help expand the playbook for a running quarterback?
I don't think Sark's going to run Arch Manning.
Yeah, mobile quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we're going to see more waggles. And it goes to Tony's point. Tony's the opinion Texas is going to be more athletic at offensive tackle. That means they can do more things in space, run more waggles, get Arch on the move more, where I think he is really, really good. So I do think you're going to see more of that. But that only can happen if your interior three are really sound in pass pro. So I think while the tackles, I don't have any question about the athleticism and what you can do with those guys. Neto, Cole, first year starting at center, DJ, who's had inconsistencies in pass pro. Those three guys are going to have to come through in pass pro so Sark doesn't protect them in pass pro more. Now, some of that protection could be putting them on the move more. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah. All right, y'all. That's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. I want to thank Adam along with Goodr and Von Lane for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. We're almost at 85,000 subscribers, guys. I think we're like 10 or 12 away. I looked just a little bit ago, so not far at all. So thank you all for your support. Appreciate that. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell so you're notified anytime we go live, post content, whatever it may be. That way you don't miss a thing. And Bobby, what can people expect later today?
Well, 85,000 is 35,000 more than showed up for the Wisconsin Minnesota game. Later today, we have the state of the program. Jerry, CJ, and I are going to talk a little football. We also have the live stream tonight. I will just say this. Recruiting is going on right now, and there are news and notes that happen every day. Please make sure you check in on ontexasfootball.com for those news and notes. We'll see how it goes. Alfio Randall Veazey. Good to hear from you again, bud. There we go.
Speaking of ontexasfootball.com, if you haven't signed up yet, let me save you a little money. Use promo code OTFOG when you do. You can lock in a full year of access for just $39.95. Again, promo code OTFOG. That's for first-time subscribers only. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Hope you all have an outstanding day. So for Bobby Burton and Jay,